The first thought I had was, why do we watch sports films? We all watch a lot of sports, and that brings us certain joys and pleasures, and we kind of look to sports films for those things too. But whereas in sports, you just, it's complicated, but you basically turn the cameras on and you get two guys to talk about what's happening on screen. In a sports film, you have to really sculpt a narrative together, and yet viewers are still looking for the same thing. We want someone to root for, we want some drama, we preferably would like an emotional payoff at the end. So Ross, why don't we start with you? How does a sports filmmaker kind of create those things in a film, in a 1 hour, 2 hour, half-hour environment?
Well, first of all, you recognize the beginning, middle, and end of a story, and you put certain moments in time and certain stories in perspective. Some of the things that come to mind is I was sitting Game 3 of the 2001 World Series when the Yankees were playing the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was right after 9/11, and I had lost my mom, and I was sitting in that stadium. My wife didn't want me to go because she thought that they were going to bomb the stadium, and I felt that night that I was living in a documentary. And lo and behold, the day after, I walked into the office and said, I don't know when we're going to do this because it comes down to timing, but this is a documentary because this wasn't an ordinary World Series, this wasn't an ordinary baseball game. And so set in motion to do a film that came out as 9 Innings from Ground Zero like 2 or 3 years later to explain what happened during 9/11 and in New York. So the reason I bring those kinds of stories up is that, it's all about drama, emotion, capturing people's passion and love with sports, and just executing a story.
You're dealing with people who have by the time you meet them, they've already got a big public profile. They have a deep relationship with their fans. They have clear ideas probably about what they want to achieve, right? I mean, how do you go into a negotiation like that? How do you figure out what's important to them to tell them?
So, I mean, I would say I think a lot of that comes down to how do you want to tell the story? If you envision, because remember, we're talking about both sort of narrative approach and technique, right, and filmmaking approach. And if you envision a project where it's being told first person, or a certain interview or certain access is key. You want to have a conversation and you want to be on the same page. And I'll just say from my own experience, the more of these you do, and the more times you treat a story with respect and get the narrative right, the easier the next conversation is, because you can say to, we can say to Chris Herron, hey, here, watch this project where we we're true to this other subject. We'd like to do this with you. But then you'll also have times when you say, okay, the approach I'm going to take on this film, the access doesn't matter, right? And Allen Iverson may not participate, but the only way we're going to get the ball moving forward is to just go and to say we're committed to do it. And
sometimes you tell a better story if they don't participate.
Sometimes you tell a better story, and sometimes, you don't want to be held hostage up front, where if you don't do these things, or I'll only do it if, and really change what your approach is going to be. Those things are better thought about before you get going, and just understanding, well, okay, we're okay now doing this, and if this person never talks to us or never gives us this access, we'll be all right, or because we're not going to get that, let's not go forward. I mean, I think those are the conversations we're having.
Ken, talk a little bit about how, with a show like Hard Knocks, and Ross as well, with a show like Hard Knocks, how do you say to a team, let us invade your training camp and let us show everything, including, when Chad Ochocinco gets cut, like that's going to be in the movie?
Well, when Ross was head of HBO Sports, we'd just say, Ross, go get him. Our pitch for a show like Hard Knocks, this day to day, we don't have an ending, we don't know where it's going, is you're better off letting us shoot everything. That's sort of what we say, because hiding things will only bring attention to the fact that they're missing. We're promising a reality show on HBO that shows the ins and outs. We have cameras hidden everywhere. We're going to have every conversation. If you try to do it outside of the cameras, it's going to draw attention, and it's happened. We've had coaches make a quarterback decision outside of the facility, and then they get asked, well, why did you not do it on camera? Was there something you're not telling us, the press? Are there things being hidden? So our pitch is, let us just show it. In Chad's case, I mean, we didn't ask to film Chad being cut from the Dolphins last season. We went into the season with the Dolphins saying we're going to shoot everything. And it was never really questioned, but I think in retrospect, Chad would be thankful for the fact that we just showed what happened. You know, we didn't have to write a script saying Chad acted this way in the meeting or conjecture about what Joe Philbin said. We let the audience decide whether Chad was a good guy, bad guy, what happened in that meeting. Here, just watch it. And that took everyone off the hook, from the coach to the player and us as filmmakers, of saying, here's reality, here's this verite moment. You make your own decisions, bring into it what you feel is valid, and come out of it feeling however you feel. We're not going to tell you. And I think teams appreciate that. And
there must be a contract at the beginning. I mean, are there negotiations after shooting where people say, hey man, can you just leave this out, do me a solid here?
No, they never really. Well,
let's tell the truth.
What they do, ask for is a lot of play-related stuff, strategy with football.
Yeah, but there was a Darrelle Revis negotiation where, I think Rex might have used 15 straight expletives in about a 10-second period. Just screaming at one of his agents, and through that phone, the phone on the desk. And they kind of said, well, do we have to have all of that in there? And so we took out about 6 of the 12 curses when he was unloading. But the effect of his anger was still there. But yeah, every once in a while they would say, give you one of those. That's not giving too much away, is it? Now that I've gone from.
I think that sounds pretty.
It's reasonable.
It's
as long as it doesn't change. Believe it or not, we've had coaches say, "Can you change that shot? I look fat in that shot," and it wasn't Rex.
So if audiences aren't looking for uncomplicated heroes anymore, we're looking for heroes. We're looking for humans. But why do people care about sports figures? Why do we all spend so much time watching sports? What's the
passion
deal?
Love. You grow up, you got your teams that maybe your grandfather, your father, your mother, told you were your teams, and you follow them passionately, and then. It's in your blood. There's something about sports in our society that have always been underappreciated, particularly in our world. And now we're able, through the stories that we tell, to kind of bring them all to life again. Whether it's the 1980 hockey team or, the women who won the World Cup in '99. I know they're doing a follow-up docu on that. These are important moments in history, American history. And to be able to relive all that is really fun for an audience, and they can't wait to kind of see the story that's attached to that moment.